Alrighty, welcome to the Granville Athletics preseason sport meeting. This is a mandatory meeting that players and parents of all athletes participating in an OHSAA sport must view. Throughout this meeting, we will go through rules and regulations that are required by the OHSAA, as well as rules and regulations that have been added by the Granville Exempted Village School District. The first thing we're going to talk about today is the beliefs that are shared between OHSAA and Granville schools. Participation in interscholastic athletic programs are to be educational in nature, and they are to complement your school experience. The point of sports is to foster a sense of community, teach lifelong lessons, promote a lifetime appreciation for sports and healthy lifestyles, and basically prepare you for the next level of your life to be a responsible adult and a productive citizen. Participants in interscholastic athletic programs should engage in a multitude of extracurricular activities. Here in Granville, we encourage you to participate in as many sports as you can, and all of our coaches should be supporting that. Participation in interscholastic athletic programs is a privilege, though it is not a right. So throughout this presentation, we will go through some things that if you do not handle your own business, that participation privilege could be taken away from you. The first in which is eligibility. OHSAA has a set of eligibility guidelines that everyone throughout the state of Ohio must follow. The first one, academically, you must pass 5 credits from the previous grading period. So right now, you should be aware if you are ineligible from the previous grading period. However, moving forward, you are now academically eligible when grade cards come out after the first quarter. If you are not passing 5 credits, you will immediately be academically ineligible in the state of Ohio. Next is residency. In Granville, there is no open enrollment, so everyone here must be living in Granville. Transfer status. If you are to transfer or if you have transferred in, you should be meeting with your school counselor and Mr. Duvall in the athletic office to make sure that you have met the requirements to be able to participate immediately. Semester-wise, you get 8 consecutive semesters once you start high school. You cannot be held back and attend for a 5th year. Once you start your freshman year, you have 8 consecutive semesters. Age-wise, if you turn 20 years old during any point of your high school career, you are academically ineligible. Physical exam must be on file, and we'll talk about that later with final forms. And then there's little rules and regulations like ejection fighting, fan-player interaction, falsifying information that you can check out on OHSAA.org if you wish to learn further. All right, that is OHSAA. This is the additional layer of protection that Granville Schools has put on academics. So in Granville, you must hold a 2.0 GPA from the previous grading period to go along with those mandated 5 passing classes from OHSAA. All forms must be completed online using final forms. You can see those there. It's recommended not to change classes without discussing with the AD or the coach that you are doing so. They are trained in making sure they know what you have to do to stay eligible, so make sure you use those resources. It's important that students enrolled in Career Center, homeschool, CCP, whatever that non-traditional school day might be, you need to be proactive and submit your grades to the AD when the GHS quarter ends. So if you're a homeschooled student and our grading period is ending, make sure you submit your grades and we'll keep you going. It's important to note summer school grades do not count towards eligibility. So if you were ineligible from your end of the year grades last school year, it does not matter if you took summer school, you go off each grading period. Finally, and this is a big one, participating with non-school teams while in season makes you ineligible. Okay, so for example, if you are on the Granville soccer team, you cannot participate with your non-school club soccer team during season. That makes you ineligible immediately. Okay, now you can participate in other sports. So if you were on the Granville basketball team and you run club track, you can do that during season, but you may not participate in season with a non-school team of the same sport or you will be ineligible. All right, academic requirements continued. So all incoming 9th graders, the middle school rule is 4 passing subjects, and then it becomes 5 once you get into high school, along with that 2.0 grade point average. Okay, because that is not an OHSAA rule and that is a Granville rule, we do offer a waiver for those that do not hit the GPA requirement. Okay, you still have to have your 5 credits for OHSAA. There's nothing you can do about that. However, you may, and your parents may come up with a plan to waive the GPA requirement. You may do 2 waivers in your 4 years of participation. So if you have to use one here this fall or this winter, in your freshman year, you have 1 left for the rest of your career. In middle school, that is a one-time only thing. So the waiver will be considered if the request includes a written academic improvement plan, a letter of application signed by parent, student, and it must be on file in the athletic director's office before any participation. So if you are ineligible, you cannot tell your coach, yeah, I'm going to do a waiver. No, that waiver needs to be approved before you are allowed to participate again. Alrighty, attendance requirements. So for you to participate in a contest, a game, a match that day, you must be in school for the full day. For you to practice, it must be 4 full periods. Okay, obviously there are excused absences such as medical, dental appointments, pre-approved by the principal. So I would just recommend you be proactive in those communications. A dentist appointment doesn't spring up on you right in the middle of the day. You're going to be off for it. So make sure you get that pre-approved by the principal and you'll be good to go. Additionally, tardies, students are allowed 2 tardies per semester. So the way to remember that one is the 3rd strike and you are out. If you are tardy for the 3rd time in a semester, you will not be participating in your athletic events that evening. And then there is just the official language of the excused and unexcused absences and tardies. All right, a PE waiver. You can take a look at this, but students are required to take PE1 and PE2. However, when you participate in athletics, marching band, cheerleading for at least 2 full seasons, you can be excused from your PE requirement. Again, make sure you are working with your school counselor if this is something you wish to do. Okay, final forms. This is something everyone in this room should be familiar with. Final forms is a website that we use to make sure that all of our forms and our waivers and our physicals are on file and are up to date. So as you can see at the bottom there, okay, it gives you the days remaining before it is no longer valid. So that person has 108 days remaining on their physical, 375 days remaining on something else. But you see there 2 of them are red. That means those are no good. My favorite part about final forms is green means good. If you are all green, you have nothing to worry about. As soon as something turns red, the whole thing will turn red, and you will need to click on it and make sure that you are completing the work that you need to complete to stay eligible. As of this moment, if you are not in the green, your coaches are being instructed to hold you out of all athletics. So I know at the very beginning, sometimes 1 or 2 things may be red and it's August 1st. No longer the case. And especially once we get into events, if you are not in the green, you will not be participating. Alrighty, our athletic training services at this school, we have our team physician, Tim Miller, our athletic training staff, Steve Rose and Leanne Zabose, and then Dylan Leffingwell is our sports performance director. You have all of their contact information there. We truly are lucky to have such great athletic training services here, and please utilize those resources with any questions you may have. Alrighty, code of conduct in Granville schools. We actually have 4 different levels of protection. The first one is the student code of conduct, which applies only when students are at school or attending school-sponsored functions. Okay, there's the extracurricular code of conduct, though, which applies to all of our athletes. So any member of a team, this policy applies 365 days out of the year. Okay, so it's not, hey, I did this over the summer, or I messed up on a Saturday, or I wasn't at school. If you are a member of the team, you fall under this code of conduct. And breaking this code of conduct, penalties can range from a minimum of 10% suspension to a maximum of a permanent denial of participation. Okay, we have our substance abuse prevention policy with random drug testing, which we'll talk about. That applies to students who are on a team as well, and they're in the testing pool for 1 calendar year. That is grades 9 through 12. We do not do that in middle school. And then finally, the extracurricular substance abuse policy. If you break that, the penalties can range from 30% suspension to a denial of participation, loss of leadership positions, MVP awards, other post-activity school honors. All right, just to quickly go through the different code of conducts. If you have behavior unbecoming of a student athlete, you will likely be breaking the code of conduct, and The penalty can range from 10% suspension to a maximum permanent denial of participation. Substance abuse, again, real quick, our student athletes are put into this pool. Parents may opt out and have their child exempt from the random testing by signing an opt-out letter. Students must continue to comply with the other code of conducts regardless of opting out. The first of random tests will be communicated only to the parents, guardians, and student athlete. So if your student tests positive, the school, the athletic department, the coach, no one will know, and only the parents and guardians of the student athlete will be aware. From there, obviously, if you get no news, that is good news. On that first positive random test, again, only the parents will find out. However, the student will now be placed into the pool for a minimum of 2 additional tests. Okay, positive test results after that, and I know it says first positive test result here, okay, but that truly would be the second, because again, the school doesn't find out about the first one, would suspend you 50% of your activities. It can be reduced to 25 if you finish our prevention policy course. The second one, which is really the third, would be a 100% reduction, but it would be reduced to 50%, again, with that course that we offer. And then the third positive test would be denying your participation for 12 months, which really would be your 4th positive test overall. Okay, here's some Q&As if you want to slow it down and go through. Basically, when is your student eligible to be tested? How can they opt out? Things like that. If you're 18 years old, you cannot opt yourself out unless you are no longer a dependent than you could. Okay, and again, no news is good news from the testing vendor. And just here's the language of our board policy with the substance abuse and tobacco policy. Okay, this is new this year. The Licking County League has adopted a spectator ejection policy that directly aligns with the OHSAA student athlete policy. So, standard ejection policy is any spectator ejected or disqualified from a contest, whether it be scrimmage, preview, regular season tournament, who disrupts the educational goals of the contest or event shall be suspended for all contests for the remainder of that day. In addition, the individual will be suspended for all contests at all levels in that sport until a minimum of 2 regular season or tournament contests at the same level as the ejection or disqualification. So an example of that would be, say you get ejected from a varsity football game on Friday night, okay? And you get thrown out of the game. You are no longer allowed to attend that event. You cannot attend the JV game the following morning. You cannot attend the 7th and 8th grade game the following week. You cannot attend, now you owe 2 varsity football games, so the following Friday and the next, and then the period or the suspension will commence, okay? And that's directly taken from how OHSAA handles a coach and a player's suspension. Ejection for a second time, if you are ejected for a second time, okay, you shall be suspended for the minimum of the remainder of the season. The period shall commence during the next sport in which the individual would attend. All individual cases will be reviewed on a case-by-case scenario. Suspension occurring at the end of the season and or has remaining suspended days will carry over into the next athletic season, with the remaining suspension beginning with the first scheduled contest at any level, to include high school and middle school. So I guess our point is if everyone just, supports Granville and cheers for our team and respects the officials, we won't have any issues. But this is something that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of as the whole league has adopted this policy. Alrighty, transportation-wise, student athletes who travel with the team to an athletic event are expected to return on the school with the team, or on the transportation with the team on the way back. Students are permitted to travel to or from an event with a parent as long as the parent guardian signs a non-school approved transportation form before leaving. Coaches can get you this form, but again, be proactive. This is for extenuating circumstances. This is not, my uncle showed up to the game, he wants to take us to BW3s afterwards. Okay, this should be something that everyone knew about, has been signed by everyone involved, and then you are free to travel as you need. All right, ticket and pass information. Admission to athletic events do support our entire athletic program. Same website as last year where you can get your event tickets. Cash sales this year will be available and they will be open at all gates. Individual and family passes are on sale now. I want to make it clear, though, we do highly recommend that you still use our website and do the online ticketing with the option of cash sales still being available. There are no ticketing fees this year online, and the athletic department strongly suggests and hopes that everyone can continue to use our website and online ticketing. Again, here's our athletic website. Okay, you can go then click on more under athletic department, click on ticket, online box office, or up there in the top right-hand corner, you can just click tickets. Alrighty, this year we have used Arbiter for the longest time in the state of Ohio for our scheduling software. OHSAA has transitioned to a new software called Dragonfly. It is very similar to Arbiter in a lot of ways, but no longer should you be going on Arbiter or Arbiter Live to see your schedules. Here is the website you can go to see Granville schedules, to see our different athletic activities, and to see other school schedules as well. I do want to be clear, though, it is a new program for the entire state. I know that Mr. Duvall, Mr. Nowicki, Laura, the athletic department, is really working hard on making sure that the hiccups are as minor as possible here in Granville, but it is a new problem for the entire, or a new program for the entire state. So please bear with everyone, and I would always double check and make sure that the event is on as scheduled and there are no mishaps before attending. Alrighty, parent-coach communication. So our expectations of what you can expect from a Granville coach. They should be able to tell you their coaching philosophy, their expectations and goals that they have for the child and the team. A practice schedule and a game schedule should be prepared in advance. How discipline can affect participation, and requirements for team selection, lettering, and awards. Our expectations of our parents are that they express their concerns directly to the coach. I can tell you right now, if you reach out to the athletic department with a concern about a coach, the first question is going to be, have you spoken to the coach? Okay, notification of schedule conflicts in advance, your attendance and support at both contests and awards nights, and then transportation for your child after practices, games. Coaches are not to transport athletes. Okay, there are appropriate concerns to discuss with coaches, and that would include ways to help your child improve, concerns about your child's interactions with others, and your child's academic progress. Things that are not appropriate to discuss with coaches include playing time, team strategy, play calling, and other student athletes. Again, the guideline for the communication piece here is if you have an issue, please set up a player-coach meeting. Contact for an appointment. If the coach cannot be reached, then you may use Mr. Duvall in the athletic department to arrange a meeting. Please do not attempt to confront a coach before, during, or after a practice or contest. It's best practice to give 24 hours, and cooler heads will prevail. And if you still want to have that conversation, then please reach out and do so. The next step, meaning after those things have happened, if the meeting with the coach did not provide a satisfactory solution, please feel free to call Mr. Duvall in the athletic office and set up an appointment. At this meeting, the appropriate steps can be determined. Alrighty, those are the basic rules and regulations that you need to know, as well as some general information. If you still have questions after viewing this presentation, please reach out to Josh Duvall in the athletic office, and he will be sure to help you out with anything you need. Go Aces!